Greetings, people of YouTube, it is I, 72 Winnebago. And it's been about a month since my last video. Reason being is, Christmas came around, the relatives came to visit, things got a little hectic, so I really didn't have time to make videos. But now that Christmas is over and done with, I can get back to doing what's important. And that is making videos for YouTube. Well, maybe it's not the most important thing I could be doing. Anyway. If you remember last year, I made a video where I asked the people of YouTube what were my best and worst videos. Well, after judging from responses, ratings, and my own personal opinions, I've decided to kick off the year by going over the worst videos I've ever made. And I'll be doing it by category, such as discussion, AMV, YouTube poop, that kind of thing. Now, to start things off, I'm going to talk about the discussion videos, where I talk about things, obviously. Anyway, the first really bad one that comes to mind is the Chaotix video. You see, for a while I've been talking about Fang the Sniper, and I thought, maybe I should try talking about some of the other characters in the Sonic universe. And that's where the Chaotix came in. The problem with this video is, I try to make some attempts to be funny, but they really come off as just being stupid. Not to mention, I put some jokes in at the end, which really didn't seem necessary. You know the bit.
Find the computer room! Find the computer room! Find the computer room!
And the next video is... oh lord, the Pit Viper video. This is when I first started talking about Twisted Metal on YouTube. I talked about Pit Viper, and why is it she wasn't in the games anymore. But when I made this video, I had to use the most asininely annoying voice I could think of, all in an attempt to be funny. And yet, just using that one little voice has pissed off a ton of people. Again, I only did that for humor. I had no idea so many people would be annoyed by it. Okay, I think that covers discussions, so let's move on to YouTube poops. The first one I ever made was called Mario's Evil Soda Overdrive. It was my first attempt at this type of video. The only problem was, it was my first attempt, and I really didn't have any idea what I was doing. Basically, imagine going to a comedy club and seeing an actor who isn't funny and not laughing. That's the best way I can describe this video, because it's really not that interesting. But as we all know, there are many different types of YouTube poops. You have YouTube poop tennis, YouTube poop music videos, the unfitting music videos, and of course the annoying memes. Which brings me to my next video, the annoying meme. In this video, I took the character of Fang the Sniper and had him dance to the Caramel Dawson. And of course, a lot of people were really confused by it as to why in the hell I'd make it. Well, to be honest, I made it for one reason and one reason only. You see, I realized that Fang was one of the few characters, well, few Sonic characters, not to be used in the Caramel Dawson meme. Then I figured, hey, if I did it, I would be the first person to use this character in said meme. The only problem is, I realized people would be kinda weirded out by it, so I just tried to pass it off as the annoying meme, pointing out that it's, well, annoying. The other meme I did that seemed to annoy the hell out of people was the More meme. This is where you take a song from some kind of hospital game and then set it to pictures of very disturbing images, all in an attempt to be funny. I did this, but instead I used myself. I figured it'd be more interesting. But as it turns out, people really hate that meme, and therefore they really hated that video. Not to mention, I think they expected me to talk more about Twisted Metal or Grand Theft Auto. The last type of video I'm going to talk about are AMVs. These are animated music videos, or taking cartoons and then chopping them up and then setting them to music. And as many of you know, I've made quite a few AMVs ever since I joined YouTube. Why? Well, I like cartoons, namely the ones I grew up with, and cutting them up and setting them to my favorite songs is quite fun. Unfortunately, I think it's become somewhat of an addiction, like caffeine. Anyway, based on the responses of my viewers, the last two AMVs are considered my worst, probably because of the obscurity of the shows and the music I used. The first one was a forgotten classic, recently renamed A Cat Named Banjo, and set to the song A Taste of Honey by Herb Alpert. Now, the cartoon in question is called Banjo the Woodpile Cat, and was made by legendary animator Don Bluth. It's one of those really obscure cartoons that nobody's really heard of, mainly because it's so short, only running about 30 minutes. 29 if you want to be specific. Anyway, I came to my realization that, gee, nobody's made an AMV about this. Guess I might as well do it and be the first one to do so. Although the one thing people seem to complain about the most about this AMV is how I opened it, with me pulling out the VHS copy out of a pile of old videotapes. I just thought that would have been a more creative way to open the AMV, rather than just rely on that clip from the Raccoon's Lost Star. The other AMV people seem to really hate is The Wacky Road to Monte Carlo, which was an AMV about the wacky races set to the theme song of, well, The Road to Monte Carlo. I think a lot of people consider this to be one of my worst videos, simply because they do not like the theme song to The Road to Monte Carlo. And those were my worst videos from the past year or two. But if you think there are any other videos that should have been on the list, please let me know. Anyway, now that it's 2010, I can only pray that my videos get better.
Could this be the Roadrunner? Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we're seeing the Roadrunner, and he